everyone, and welcome to another video. If you're wondering why my entire area looks really well lit, read the description box. I don't want to really go over the entire thing in this video because it doesn't really correlate to what I'm going to talk about. I am going to be talking about this. It may not look like much, just like a regular blue Longshot that I've cut the front off of, and if you may notice the brass that I have in it, but this is kind of a big thing that I recently stumbled upon when I went to the old house I used to live at that my dad lives at now, and I was going through like my little workshop modding area, and I stumbled upon this. And I remember this was one of the first two big projects I ever did. The first being a Vulcan that I put RC batteries into following Mana Potion's kind of like explanation of what they did with their 500 RPM Vulcan. That was like way back when. That was my first ever electrical mod. But this was my like second big project mod that I've ever done, and it's a brass breech that I made following SG Nerf's brass breech guide. And why is this kind of like, why am I going over this? Because when I made this, I did not sand or clean my areas. I only had a hacksaw and a glue gun that I was using like high temperature wood glue from the early 1990s in to make this, and it works really well, and I kind of wanted to go over it and show you that you don't have to be the smartest person in Nerf or have all the best tools in order to do amazing things with blasters. So I'm going to open this up and just show you how just ghetto-ly modded it is in here. So yeah, let's open this up. Here's everything all laid out. It was held together with about 5 or 6 screws, and that's what I was using to kind of test it and I guess keep it easy to open in case I was going to do an integration on here. So I've already taken the bolt sled and the entire assembly off, and as you can probably already see, this thing is pretty ghetto fabulous. I'll start from the back. Let's talk about this. Back in the day, I actually tightened the screws too much, which caused a crack inside of these little pieces that the screws go into. So how did I remedy that? I actually hot glued the screws into place. You can see that I cracked this piece right here. So I hot glued them into place, and then I put some hot glue down here to reinforce the 2 plastic walls that keep the spring and this piece inside the plunger tube, or attached to the plunger tube. So yeah, I believe there's a Home Depot Everbuilt spring in here, and the stock spring. Yeah, that's what it looks like. And that's what I'm using for power, and it's a pretty heavy spring combination. I have to use 2 hands to prime it because you can't one-hand prime it. So yeah, that was my ghetto remedy for those 2 problems. The brass is really not in good condition. You can see how sharp the edge is around here, and that's because I actually cut all the brass with a hacksaw. A hacksaw that I think was meant for wood I used on the brass, and I didn't do such a good job on it. And this piece right here would not want to slide on top of this piece, so I actually put a bunch of lubricant over it so it would slide more easily. There's some super glue, I believe, right here, which I had to like ghetto-ly sand down, and it's just a nightmare. Speaking of nightmares, I got some chunk taken off of here. I don't know what I was doing, but yeah, I filled that little piece up with hot glue. I hot glued that all together with some JB Weld as well. And this is back when I really didn't sand anything, and if I did, I didn't clean it. And so I'm surprised all this is, you know, holding up. And the last thing you'll see are these metal L brackets on the bolt sled. And I believe I came back like a year after and did this when I finally got a Dremel 200, which are awful. And I put those on, I sanded, didn't clean, JB welded it, and the problem was the metal brackets were a little too thick and you could not get clips up in there. So what did I do? I took a sanding drum bit and I just started sanding and grinding away at these metal brackets until a clip fit. And I don't think it fit at the time, but for some reason it's working now, so I'm surprised, and just, like I said, I am just so surprised that it's actually holding up. And to show you how well it works after all these years, I haven't gone back, I haven't re-lubed anything, I haven't opened it up. This is just how it was when I found it, I think 2 days ago. I'm going to fire off some darts at some cardboard and see what type of power it has behind it. So let me set up some cardboard and we'll get right into that. So I've set up this cardboard box. It's pretty big, but I'm going to be aiming for this little center box area. I have 3 Koosh darts followed by 3 regular Elite darts, and we're going to see what kind, if any, damage it does to this cardboard. And I gotta say, this cardboard's pretty good quality, so it's probably going to have a little bit of difficulty. So I'm firing from about 10 feet away, and let me load up and fire off. Not too much power against this cardboard, but powerful enough to leave some dents in it. And like I said, this is some pretty darn good cardboard. Even though this brass breech isn't really made for Stephens, it will fire off Stephens, surprisingly. So I have loaded up a pack D clip full of them, with the last Stephen being one with 3 BB weights in it. So let me load it up and we'll fire off. And here are the Stephen holes. I don't really know why they vary so much. Maybe some of the darts got a better brass seal than others. I'm not entirely sure, but these 3 right here don't seem to be that bad. But these 3 right here seem to have hit pretty hard. I know this was the second to last hit, and I'm not sure why that one's punching almost as hard as the Stephen with the 3 BBs in it. Maybe it had a really good seal or something. I'm not sure, but they punch pretty hard, so I'm pretty pleased with that. However, the accuracy is absolutely awful, so I'd have to go back and maybe increase the barrel length or just make it more suited for Stephens if I was ever going to make it shoot Stephens. So the whole point I'm trying to make with this video is you do not have to have the best of the best tools or the best of the best know-how in order to make something that's impressive. This was my second biggest project that I ever did, and I think it turned out really well. I used high temp wood hot glue from the early 90s, and I used a hacksaw to make my brass breech, and it works pretty darn well, and I'm actually quite impressed with my old modding capabilities now that I've looked back on this. I've basically neutered the cap for the plunger tube. You do not have to have the best techniques in order to make something that's impressive. Just use the guides out there that are supplied to you. SG Nerf's brass breech guide is perfect. Really good detailed pictures, lots of telling you how to do things, diagrams. It's really good, and I highly recommend you use that guide if you're going to do a brass breech. But there's tons of guides out there. There are YouTube tutorials that go over things. Find the guide that works for you, compare different guides to see what people are doing differently, and just pick the one that you think best represents what you're trying to do. And you can do great things with your modding career or your modding hobby. So yeah, you just don't have to be the best of the best to make some of the best of the best. And that's really all I'm trying to say here. So I hope you enjoy this video. I hope this kind of inspires some of the modders out there who are a little hesitant to move out of their comfort zone. And I'll make another video for you later.